Hey guys, I got a request. Somebody's asking me what it's like to be a truck driver. So I'm gonna make a video for somebody out there that's thinking about joining the industry. And me myself, I started driving back in the year 2000, so pushing 16 years experience. In 2002, I got a speeding ticket while I was bobtailing around my local town, driving local. But since that, I've had a clean slate since. I've had probably about 10 to 15 level 1 to level 3 inspections. Still running paper logs, passed every damn one of them. And I'm working on, just passed up my 2 million miles a year or so ago. So I'm working on 3 million. Yeah, I think I said that right. Anyway, working on pushing towards 3 million safe driving miles, accident-free, incident-free. So, I got a little bit of advice I think that's worth something, and that's going to be what I'm talking about today is what it's like to be a truck driver. If you talk to a lot of people are negative about it. They're going to say something along the lines of, no, you need to do something else. Trucking ain't what it used to be, yada yada yada. There's an unlimited list of fucking complaints. But that same person, 9 times out of 10, they bitch about everything. They bitch about the kids, they bitch about the government, they bitch about the wife, their husband, they bitch about everything. So careful where you get your advice from. I'm trying something new on this thing, so maybe I can hold this thing steady. I'm going to give you an unbiased opinion about the trucking industry, and the good, the bad, the ugly, and the pretty. Now, the bad is it's a sacrifice. If you're a family man like me, I'm married and I got 2 kids, possibly working on a third, trying to get a little girl. But it's a sacrifice. You got to leave your family. Me personally, I'm smart about it, so I only leave for a week at a time. And I do that twice a month. So I'm basically gone 14, 15, 16 days a month. And I'm home for about the same amount of time. All in all, I work about 6 months out of the year. And since I came back out on the road and bought my own truck, even though that sounds pretty bad, I'm still at home with the family more than I was when I was 3 years ago when I was a company driver hauling feed around the tri-state area in North Georgia. Then I'd go to work at 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd get home 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 days a week, 6 days when they could get me in there. And so even still, I still have more time at home with the family. The sacrifice is the big deal. The sacrifice of leaving home. And that's a small other thing is what you see me in. I'm coming into Nashville right now, and it's traffic jam. But, that don't bother me. Some people bitch and moan and complain about it. And a lot of times I hear guys on the radio bitching and moaning about cars doing this, cars doing that. And I don't know what's worse. Having a newbie out here bitching about it or having somebody that's been out here 10, 20 years that's still bitching about it. That's just how it is. Cars are going to do stupid shit. They're going to cut you off. That's just part of the deal. So traffic's a bad issue. But let's get back to the number one bad thing. It's the sacrifice of leaving home. If you're a family man, it can be stressful, especially if you're just starting out. Because if you start out, you're looking at a lot of these companies. They want you to stay out for every week that you're out. They give you a day off. Now that's stressful. Show off. That's stressful. And I put up with that for the first 6 months that I was out here. And it sucked. But I paid the tithes and got smart about it and got me a local job. And then I came back here on the road after working local for about 10 years. And so be advised on how to do what you do. A lot of these mega carriers, they want you to stay out for a week at a time or weeks at a time, allowing you 1 day off per week that you're working. That's bullshit. Find you a damn company where you can get a dedicated run You know, I can go back to my hometown and with a little bit of experience, like a year, 2 years experience, I'm pretty sure a lot of companies like this. But in my part of the country, I'm from the carpet capital of the world. And you got companies like Shaw Industries and Mohawk and Boyu, and you see those trucks out here. Those guys has got it made. They leave Shaw in Dalton, Georgia, or Calhoun, or what have you, and they got bid runs. They go up to Baltimore and they'll be a team operation. They have to turn 2 or 3 of them a week. They have to be gone for 3 or 4 days at a time, home for anywhere from 2 to 3 or 4 days at a time, depending on what bid you got. You know, but you got to have experience to get in those jobs. So, you know, you got to bite the bullet, get your experience, and once you get your experience, start talking to some of these bigger company or smaller company guys, not like, you know, Swift, Snyder, Crete, places like that. That's mega carriers. They want you to stay out weeks on end. But you get with a smaller company that's not oriented around truck driving, you can usually get some pretty decent home time, or just get you a local job. But that's the bad thing. That's a sacrifice. Another sacrifice is when you first start out, you're going to make pennies on the dollar, man. You're going to make chump change. I don't know what the guy would be making today, but, you know, like I said, I've got 15 plus years experience, safe driving, pushing 3 million miles. I mean, I'm a recruiter's dream, and any company I want to work for, I'm going to start out, excuse me, at the top level. But it hadn't always been that way. I had to go through the sacrifice. And you're going to sacrifice a good 2, maybe 3 years until you can build a reputation behind your driving record. I don't know what it is now, but when I first started, me and my brother, we teamed up with Covenant, and there's no kidding. There's no joke about this. I mean, these times, a lot of weeks, $200 to $300 a week, you know, and that was back in 2000. So I've heard guys now get on with a company, and they're like, oh, this company, they pay 45 cents a mile, and they attract you with that big cent per mile. And then when you get that job, a big cent per mile, you find out, oh, they're only going to run you 800 miles a week. Well, you're making good pay per mile, but if you don't have the miles, you're going to starve. You're going to go hungry. So keep that in mind. A lot of companies that pay less, you're going to get more miles. And a lot of companies you're not going to get that many miles with, you're going to get more pay per mile. But at the end of the week, it matters about that, how many miles you drove. Now, I've got my own truck now, and I average about 5,000 miles a week. I go from Georgia, go to California, and I turn back around and come back. And I do that all legal. And a lot of guys talking about, man, I do 2,500 miles a week. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, I remember when I had my little part-time local job. You know, 5,000 miles a week ain't nothing. But that's because I'm dedicated. I'm disciplined to get that run knocked out so I can get home. The faster I get out there, the faster I can get back, the more time I get home. That's my philosophy. And I do that cruising 60, 62 miles an hour at most. Now that's the negative, that's the bad about driving a truck OTR. And also you got to watch your back. A lot of these cities, you know, if you're in Memphis, I advise don't even stop in Memphis. If you're in Baltimore, just keep on driving. If you're in Detroit, just keep on driving. If you're up in the Chicago area, south side of Chicago, keep on driving, don't stop. St. Louis, a lot of parts of LA, you really got to have a little common sense to you out here, have some street smart, so to speak. If you pull in someplace that you feel is sketchy, trust your gut instinct, don't stop, keep going. Because there's a lot of shady fuckers out here. And my brother, I could go into stories that my brother's had out here. Man, he's ran into some stuff. He's been mugged. He thought he was gonna get raped by a big old gay man one time, and he's a little bit of shit. And he said this guy he looked like he was 7 foot tall, weighed 350 pounds. I thought he was gonna rape me. Yeah, he's ran into some stuff. I've not encountered none of that. And he hasn't encountered none of that in the last 10 years because he started listening to his gut. If he felt someplace was sketchy, he just kept going. He went somewhere he felt safe. That's a big part. Trust your gut. Don't put yourself in a bad situation, and chances are you'll avoid bad situations.